Good evening, you're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq received the credentials of a number of their excellencies, the ambassadors of brotherly and friendly countries accredited to the Sultanate. The U.S. President seeks to stop all voting, but only counting remains. And the World Health Organization praises the Sultan's efforts to contain coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq received separately the credentials of a number of their excellencies, the ambassadors of brotherly and friendly countries accredited to the Sultanate at Al Baraka Palace this morning. His Majesty received the credentials of His Excellency Jose Marcos, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of President Dr. Jair Bolsonaro, President of the Federative Republic of Brazil, accredited to the Sultanate. His Excellency Haji Solini bin Haj Saeed, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of His Majesty Sultan Haji Hassan Al Bolkiah of Brunei Darussalam, accredited to the Sultanate. His Excellency Mohammed Ahmed Fahmi Ghanem, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi of the Arab Republic of Egypt, accredited to the Sultanate. Her Excellency Dr. Aisha Suzanne Ostuner, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of His Excellency President Recep Tayyip Erdogan of the Republic of Turkey, accredited to the Sultanate. His Excellency Dr. Tibor Stimari, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of His Excellency President Janusz Adair of Hungary, accredited to the Sultanate. His Excellency Najmuddin Muhammad Ali, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of His Excellency President Qasim Jomart Tokayev of the Republic of Kazakhstan, accredited to the Sultanate. His Excellency Sheikh Jassim bin Abdul Rahman bin Mohammed Al Thani, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, Emir of the State of Qatar, accredited to the Sultanate. And Her Excellency Leslie M. So, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of His Excellency President Donald Trump of the United States of America, accredited to the Sultanate. During the side meetings with His Majesty Sultan Haitham, Their Excellencies the ambassadors conveyed the greetings of the leaders of their countries, along with the wishes for good health, happiness and long life of His Majesty the Sultan, and for the Omani people further progress and prosperity under the wise leadership of His Majesty, expressing their honor and great happiness to present their credentials before His Majesty. They affirmed that they would do their utmost to advance their country's relations with the Sultanate in various fields to serve the common interest of the Omani people and the people of their countries. His Majesty the Sultan welcomed the ambassadors, thanking their leaders for their greetings of the good wishes and assuring them that they would receive all support from His Majesty, the government of the Omani people, to facilitate their performance for their duties. The credentials presentation ceremony was attended by His Excellency the Minister of Interior, His Excellency the Foreign Minister, His Excellency the Head of the Royal Protocols, Commander of the Royal Guard of Oman, and military escorts of His Majesty the Sultan. The medium-term physical balance plan 2010-2024 that more than 2 billion Omani Riyals were allocated for the government expenditure within the number of initiatives to be taken to the Sultanate rationalizing the upgrade for the efficiency of government expenditure, which included 4 initiatives aimed to study current expenditure items and development expenditure for government units. The Sultanate has started the implementation of this plan during the current year by reducing the expenditure by 10% in the state budget 2020 that led to saving 870 million riyals, expecting the saving to increase as by the end of the plan by 2,070 million riyals. The basic infrastructure in the Sultanate has reached an excellent level and covered all parts of the Sultanate. The government is seeking to direct the expenditure to fund economic and social projects of high priority and to give the private sector the opportunity to finance and implement these projects directly or through public-private partnership. President Donald Trump is vowing to ask the Supreme Court to weigh in on the conclusive election. Trump appeared before supporters at the White House early this morning and cried foul over the election results, calling the process a major fraud on our nation. Trump had this to say.
Well, thank you very much. All of a sudden, it's not like we're up 12 votes and we have 60% left. We won states, and all of a sudden, I said, what happened to the election? It's off. And we have all these announcers saying, what happened? And then they said, oh, because you know what happened? They knew they couldn't win, so they said, let's go to court. And did I predict this, Newt? Did I say this? I've been saying this from the day I heard they were going to send out tens of millions of ballots. I said exactly, because either they were going to win, or if they didn't win, they'll take us to court. So Florida was a tremendous victory, 377,000. Texas, as we said. Ohio, think of this. Ohio, a tremendous state, a big state. I love Ohio. We won by 8.1%, 461,000. Think of it. Almost 500,000 votes. North Carolina, big victory with North Carolina. And so we won there. We lead by 76,000 votes with almost nothing left. And all of a sudden, everything just stopped. This is a fraud on the American public. This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election. We did win this election. So our goal now is to ensure the integrity for the good of this nation. This is a very big moment. This is a major fraud in our nation. We want the law to be used in a proper manner. So we'll be going to the U.S. Supreme Court. We want all voting to stop. We don't want them to find any ballots at 4 o'clock in the morning and add them to the list, okay? It's a very sad moment. To me, this is a very sad moment, and we will win this, and as far as I'm concerned, we already have won it. So I just want to thank you, and I want to thank all of our support. I want to thank all of the people that worked with us.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to join you in thanking more than 60 million Americans who have already cast their vote for 4 more years for President Donald Trump in the White House.
Still to come in our news bulletin. Oman Medical Specialty Board launches the National E-Platform for Health Education, Tibyan. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. The Ministry of Health announced that the total number of COVID-19 cases registered in the Sultanate reached 116,847. The ministry also reported that the total fatalities reached 1,275. The total recovered cases reached 106,103, while the recovery rate climbed to 91.4%. During the past 24 hours, 32 people were hospitalized, taking the total number of inpatients to 371 cases, of which 157 cases are in intensive care units. His Excellency Dr. Jane Jacob Gapur, World Health Organization representative in the Sultanate, praised efforts exerted by the Sultanate to contain coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. He said that the Sultanate has dealt gradually with the pandemic and exerted great efforts to create an environment to stop the spread of the virus through conveying awareness messages by His Excellency the Minister of Health and other officials to all segments of the Omani society. However, he added that the responsibility to deal with this pandemic is collective, that include the entire society, individuals and the government. He urged all to adhere to health conditions and measures to save the society from this pandemic. Oman Medical Specialty Board launched the National E-Platform for Health Education Tibyan, which will contribute in remote education and medical training. His Excellency Dr. Ahmed bin Mohammed Al Saidi, Minister of Health, Chairman of the Board of Trustees, said that this platform came as a part of e-government plan headed by His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq in Oman Vision 2040. He added the platform came as a crucial time to continue medical education for health sectors, indicating that the first stage will be for doctors, while the second will be for other medical groups. The first meeting of the Board of Directors of Environment Authority discussed work plan of the authority and its goals for the upcoming year. The meeting also shed light on the vision of the authority, its achievements, challenges and solutions. The meeting was headed by His Excellency Dr. Khalfan bin Saeed Al Shuaili, Chairman of the Board of Directors of the Environment Authority. The Duqm refinery project progresses full steam ahead. This was the result of the dedication displayed by the highly skilled and motivated team of more than 21,000 manpower of site serving 3 EPC contractors. The project is expected to be completed and commissioned by first quarter of 2022. Over $200 million worth of contracts and services were awarded to local SMEs. ICV contribution also extend the empowering committees and directly contributed to support more than 600 training opportunities for young people that would provide them with needed employment skills. Duqm Refinery is a joint venture between 2 industry pioneers, OC and Kuwait Petroleum International. Once the refinery starts operations, it will have the capacity to process around 230,000 barrels of crude oil per day. Diesel, jet fuel, naphtha and LPG are stated to be the primary products. In cooperation with Oman TAL, the University of Technology and Applied Sciences launched today the 4th edition of Huawei ICT competition. More details in the following report.
You have to get rid of people. No, you people re-rotating.
To inculcate innovation among higher education students, utilizing new technologies such as artificial intelligence to support the process of digital transformation in the Sultanate, the University of Technology and Applied Sciences, in cooperation with Omantel, launched the 4th edition of Huawei ICT competition.
We are very happy and we have the pleasure, in fact, at the University of Technology and Applied Sciences to host two important events today. The first one is the launching of 5G with the Omantel, and that's very important for the business and for the industry as well, and for the education institution to introduce this 5G, which is the newest technology, and all the fourth industrial revolution and the other new technologies are based on 5G technology. So that's an additional important things for Oman. The second thing is the IC competition, which is also supported by Huawei with the coordination with the university as well as with Omantel. This one is very important for our students to really enhance their skills and competencies in the new technologies and to be introduced to highly important kind of skills related to the newest technologies.
This event and a number of similar events are being executed with the objective to enhance the ecosystem within Oman, specifically with regard to technologies. In Omantel, we believe that it's not only important to build infrastructure, but it is also important to have a number of applied cases that can serve the Oman development, specifically the economic development of Oman.
The competition comes in view of the growing and effective role of the ICT sector in building smart societies and finding business development solutions, particularly in light of COVID-19 pandemic, and the need to come up with solutions to ensure continuity of public services, businesses, and economic recovery requirements.
There are three main benefits. First is that by competition, it can motivate the young students to learn more ICT technology because it's very important for Oman 2040 transformation. Definitely the youngs will be the main contributor for this great transformation, and ICT will become the foundation of the whole society transformation.
I participated in Huawei ICT competition last year, 2019. I reached to the last stage in China, and I have many achievements there when I participate with 9 countries from Middle East, and we get outstanding performance at the final exam.
Students representing around 15 higher education institutions will take part in the competition, which will be held for the first time online in compliance with the social distancing measures. Huawei ICT Competition Oman 2020 is a wonderful opportunity for the Omani students to sharpen their competencies in the ICT fields and exhibit their potentials to the national and international arena. صالح بخلفان الرحبي, سلطنة of Oman Television, Muscat.
Madain Academy is implementing 2 analytical studies for the performance of human resources and operational costs of industrial assets. Madain is seeking through these 2 studies to understand the volume of actual works at the establishment and its needs of manpower and enhance optimal use of resources, in addition to understanding the specialized nature of establishments' duties. The Academy was established in 2019 in order to develop human cadres working at industrial assets and provide value-added services for investors. This is the Sultanate of Oman Television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty Sultan Haitham bin Tariq receives the credentials of a number of their excellencies, the ambassadors of brotherly and friendly countries accredited to the Sultanate. The U.S. President seeks to stop all voting, but only counting remains. And the World Health Organization praises the Sultan's efforts to contain coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the studios and the newsroom, it's good night.